So this page, this double page spread, is going to be a buddy colour with the lovely Sabrina from Sabrina's Twist of Colour. And I'm not going to film the whole thing, I don't think, because I think it might take me a little while. But I want to do the background on camera, and I want to do the gesso on camera as well. So I'll gesso it all up, let it dry completely, and then work on the background. I'm wanting to do watercolours on this. I think it was me that picked this page purely because of how big the background was. But now in hindsight, with it being a double page spread, it's going to take me ages and ages. But just wanted to get it started today. So I forgot to get my water. Let's move this over. Dampen my brush off just a little bit, and the only things that I'm using here is this liquid, I think it's Liquitex Basic Acrylic Gesso. Now if you really want to keep these line art so you can still see them, go with the clear gesso. This is not clear, it's white, because I do want to blank out the lines to go over the top and add my own details. I think Sabrina will probably be using Inktense on her page. I might do a little bit with Inktense maybe, but we'll see. So I'll work on this side first, and I use this little roller as well as just a little cheapy brush and then a cloth. So just don't be afraid, a couple of dollops here and there. I first use the damp brush to spread it out. I might have even used too much then, but we'll see, because I can do that page with the excess. Let's get some spreaded down here. And the reason that I'm using gesso is so the watercolour will react a little bit easier for me. It will behave a little bit better on top of this. Or you could use acrylic. I think that was the perfect amount there actually. Might have to do the edges a little bit better. So rolling this out so there's no brush marks. We'll have to go on the very inner corner and on the outsides as well with a little bit more. But it takes away some of the line art, it doesn't make it so dark. You can't really tell a difference on camera, but I promise you it does. So a little bit more on the corners. And spread this around. And I have got my protective sheets as well, just to protect the pages behind. And then on the inside, let's spread that out again. And that should be okay, we can move over to the other side. But before I leave it to dry, I will lift it up and pop something underneath it, like a pencil case or anything, just so it's not touching this plastic, so it doesn't stick to it. That's what I normally do. So let's move on to this side. Be a little bit more generous this time. Make sure I'm getting that very inside, because that's where the water will collect. I might even go over with another thin layer maybe. Let's see how we get on with this. But you do have to leave this to completely dry. You could go ahead and use your heat gun, but I'm just going to probably leave it to dry on its own. Put that colour down the edges. Add a little bit more over here. So I can still see the lines, so I still want the line out there, but just not as dark. So let's blend, roller. Now I actually bought this roller for diamond painting, so it's coming really handy for other things. There's a lot more on this side. I was definitely a lot more generous, so not to worry. This, just wipe it off with your tea towel, your cloth, anything. Then go over and roller again. Any excess, take off with the cloth. Super easy to get off. You just rub it off, just like that. I feel like I'm painting the walls. So one last time, take off the excess and go over the whole thing. Pop that upside down. And what shall I use? I'll just use a pot of glitter and a pot of ink. And I'll just pop these at the back just so they're not touching the plastic. Same with this side, just right in the middle. Doesn't matter if they bow over because they'll dry flat. So I'll leave that probably for about 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes to completely dry, and then I can go over the top with basically whatever I want. So now that the gesso is completely dry, you can see that it's gone more or less flat again. I can shut the page, it doesn't stick together. So I pulled out today my Pretty Excellent watercolour palette. I've not used this on the channel in a long time, and I think the last time that I used it, it was on a Kirby page. So I thought it was fitting for the background. And this is a really affordable palette. So for the background, I want to really go for purples, blues, greys and blacks. Now I don't know where I put my swatch chart for this, so I'm just going to have to wing it. So let's go in the blues. Well, what I think is a blue, that's definitely a black. Greys. And just go down the line. Let's do that whole line. I think that's the only true purple that I'm working with there. So how shall I do this so you can still see? Maybe if I pull it down. No, it goes out of frame. It goes out of frame. I will put the palette, maybe, we'll put the palette on this side like that, and then I'll work on this side first. And I've got an assortment of different brushes, just pulled all sorts out. I'm not necessarily going to use that amount of brushes. Some are watercolour brushes, some are aqua brushes, all different brands. Now, if I hadn't have gessoed this, I probably would have gone in with the, what's that blue stuff called? But you have not got it to hand, even though I should have. Here it is. The liquid mask. In all honesty, I can't bother going around all them lines, and now that it's got gesso on, I don't know how it would react. So I'm just going to be careful. Be careful around the edges. I'll start around this side. The stars, I'm not too concerned about if I get paint on, because I'm thinking that I'm going to go over the top with either a gel pen or some metallic watercolour, maybe. So let's just start mixing her shades. I'm not too concerned about mixing the colours in the pans on this one. I do usually clean, I do definitely with this one, clean the palettes after, because I do like using the palettes itself. So a bit of purple here, extra water, don't want it that thick. And then we'll go for a true purple, blue rather, true blue on this side. And we'll just go with them colours and see how we get on. We can always add more if we like, a little bit more of that navy. So I want to use two different brushes, one for wetting the page and then one for applying the paint. So just this aqua brush, and again all the outside, I think I'm not going to worry too much. If I go out around the edges, I might do all of that in acrylic black paint to make the border nice and neat. And then maybe some ink. See, I have got ideas for this one. I have got ideas. Now my water's got a bit of a blue tint to it. through that watercolour then. So I'm better off bringing you in ever so slightly, aren't I? There we go. So I'm just wetting the page with the clean-ish water, clean-ish, and straight in with the lighter blue first. Make sure I keep this page quite wet. Again, not worrying if I go over the clouds. The clouds would have shadows on them anyway. And then the moon, I've not decided what I'm doing with the moon yet. So this is definitely one of them, trust the process, definitely. And you need to really let each layer dry before you add. You can't keep adding and adding because it'll just end up looking really muddy. Like if I try and add just straight up navy there, it'll mix with the lighter blue, which I don't really want. So clean brush, move that colour around. In with just water again. Just wet this area, just making sure that I'm definitely in frame because I have a habit lately of not being in frame. Let's move everything over a bit. So a little bit there. Straight up blue. I'll start adding some purples as well in a minute. Then we'll add the purple now and just let it move where it wants to go. So there's a little bit of mist there. I'm just adding enough water to get the surface wet. It's not puddling. I've not got puddles and puddles of water. That's not what you want. And because I've gessoed the surface as well, I wouldn't be using your super duper expensive pencils because it will eat away at them. I do like using the Arteza. I used the Prismacolor. I've used the Brute Funas. So this top area, I'm going to start lifting some of this colour because I'm not overly happy with how it's mixing. But you see, because of the gesso, it's primed that surface and it makes it so easy. I've even got a sponge that I could use to add some different textures. That might be quite interesting. But basically the paper will take a lot more water once you've popped that gesso on it. Being very, very messy. It's just, you know, it's meant to be fun. Not worrying too much about getting on the illustration that I do want to keep, because I can put it all back in with pencil. So this bit I didn't add any water, so we'll just get a straight colour, no blends here. And then the moon at the top, a little bit there, and then right in the hat. Be a lot more careful around the face. And there's a little bit just there. And then the rest of that is the moon. So what colour skin should we go for now that we've got these purples and lovely blues down? So I need to contact Sabrina because I don't know when she's going to be doing her video, but mine will probably be up before hers. But once she's popped hers up, I will update this video and put a link in the description. But you can see at the top there, it looks a little bit like clouds. So So a little bit more careful around the hat, not too bothered about the clouds. Let's get some more purple in there. The trick with watercolour that I've learnt is you have to be a little bit patient with the drying process to do all your different layers that you want. So let's clean off the brush now and work some of these clouds in. I don't know whether I should use the sponge or not. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest. Just move some of this colour around and just disturb it a bit before it has a chance to fully dry. Just using clean water, wiping it off, and then picking the colour up. Clean water again, wiping it off. But again, if you didn't gesso the page, there's no way that you could do this. The paper would be pilling by now, pulling up, and it'd be more or less destroyed. So it's really, really good. Add in the gesso, if this is the sort of effect you're after anyway. And it gives loads and loads of texture to your page. What I might actually do is add a bit of salt. Let's add a bit of salt. There it is. So I use the coarse salt. This is just a cheapy brand that I found on Amazon. But I have tried just normal table salt, but I do prefer this one. So if I can get the lid off with my nails, I might have to use my little knife. Which of course, when I need it, there it is, I can't find it. You're not going to open for me today, are you? I usually have to just squeeze it and it works. Oh, there we go. So, while it's still wet, it might not work as well on this paper and with the gesso. Testing with you. We shall see. But now that I've added the salt, I cannot use the heat gun. The heat gun will just blow the salt everywhere and it won't give me the effect that I want. So I will have to be patient with this one. So I'll leave that there because I'm going to need it again, and then we can move on to the other side. But I'll probably have to come back once this is fully dried, which is going to take a couple of hours, I think. Which is fine, I've got other things to do in the meantime. So we'll start this top corner. Again, this is the colour of the water that I'm using. It is quite blue now. It doesn't really show up. It just gives a hint of blue. Starts at the very top. Oh, I've just put my finger in it. Oh, so my fingerprints isn't now on the page. Not the end of the world. In with the navy. I have not done watercolour in a book in a long time, so I'm unbelievably enjoying this. Nice change. Let's do this top corner, and around the clouds. Let's have some purple. Be a little bit more careful around the cat. Back to the navy. It's really random. Don't worry if you get any on the illustration. Don't worry, and watercolour dries a lot lighter. So it'll look a lot lighter than this. That's why I might want to go in and add another layer. Just depends how dark it looks, because I might want to use pastels, oil pastels, soft pastels, pan pastels, anything over the top of this, or acrylic. Doesn't just have to be watercolour. And I know I've gone over the bow there, but not to worry. And let's do this side. I've not actually sat down and filmed in like nearly 4 or 5 days. I feel like my voice is really croaky. Bit of the purple in there. It's just meant to be fun. You're not meant to be worrying about it. So what if you get a bit of paint where you didn't want it? Doesn't matter. It's your colouring page, your paper. You do what you see fit. I'm just sitting here and talking to you guys, talking to the camera, and you get to see sort of my process as I'm going on. There is some sort of organised madness going on here, believe me. So the navy. And with the blue, we've not added a lot of the royal blue on this side, so we'll do that now. Just a little bit here and there. So now that we've covered more or less all the areas that I want covered, I think next door is going to bless us with the sound of the dogs. Same thing, I'm going to lift some of the colour up, just like this. And then quickly add the salt before it starts drying. I think that's going to be the trick here. So, salt time. And whenever this is dry, I will then take it outside to take the salt off, otherwise you'll have bits of salt all over your floor, all over your table, wherever you do your art. Just be patient now. It could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, it could take the rest of the afternoon, I'm not sure. So I will just have to be a little bit patient. But once it is fully dry, I will come back and either show you the result or we'll work on the second layer. So for me it'll be, I don't know, but for you it'll be a second. So it's about an hour later, give or take, and it's completely dry. Now it has started to bowl a little bit because it has been left too dry, but I'll close the page and put it between other books and it'll be absolutely fine. But you can tell that the salt has worked, it has worked. You see all these areas down here as well, but it just gives it a really soft, delicate look to the background. So you can either, I don't know whether I'll go really bold with the rest of the colours or just keep it all quite delicate and soft. I'm not 100% sure, but I do hope that you enjoyed the video. I will do probably the rest off camera, with it being a double page spread. Do some black on the outside and then colour the rest in with pencil, I think. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the outcome of that. Really soft and delicate, easy to do, fun to do and relaxing. So please do give me a big thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, if you like this sort of content. I do try and upload 2 to 3 times a week now. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!